Thank you very much for having me here today. Unfortunately, Simon Doble, who's our CEO and founder, is actually in the States presenting at another conference, so couldn't be here with you, which is why you have me. But I'm here to tell you a little bit about our work. So Simon Doble, as I mentioned, is our CEO and founder, and in 2011, he read an article in Time magazine about how energy poverty is the worst kind of poverty in the world. And he almost had a visceral reaction to that story. As both an inventor and a social impact entrepreneur, he went, that shouldn't be the case for anyone, and I can come up with some solutions that can help to alleviate the suffering of people living in energy poverty. So I invite you for just a moment to close your eyes and think about this. What is energy poverty? What would your life be like if you didn't have access to energy, to electricity, to lighting? How would you light your homes? How would you charge your computers or your devices? How would you communicate with your friends? And how would it impact the children in the lives that you know? This situation impacts about 1.4 billion people in the world. And it means they have limited or no access to electricity. And if they do have access to energy, it's often toxic energy like kerosene or diesel or wood or coal, which they use for their lighting and for their heating. This is incredibly damaging, particularly for children who aren't able to study at night because they have poor lighting and they can't read by it. And the toxic fumes from kerosene are terrible for their health. In fact, women and children are most severely impacted by energy poverty as they spend the most amount of time in their domestic homes cooking and tending to other duties there. And they breathe in the toxic fumes from their wood fire or coal-fired ovens for cooking, as well as the fumes from kerosene. And it is toxic for them. It literally kills them. It kills about 2 million children annually. It kills more people, energy poverty that is, and the fumes from kerosene kills more people than HIV, AIDS, malaria, and tuberculosis annually. It also has a dreadful impact on the environment. With kerosene lanterns producing about 190 million tonnes of CO2 emissions annually. And it's also terrible on the hip pocket for low-income earners who don't earn much money. Up to 40% of their annual income goes on kerosene, just for lighting and cooking. I mean, we think our energy prices are pretty high, but it's absolutely staggering for people who are poor. Our goal at Solar Buddy is to give 6 million solar lights to children living in energy poverty by 2030. And we've aligned our strategic vision with the SDGs because we want to have a benchmark for achieving our goal. And we cross over a number of the SDGs, but we really feel that we sit between that cross-section between education and innovation and how we can use the two to create social good. So our solution is a Solar Buddy light there. We call this light Buddy. And it's been specifically designed for children to use. It's easy to assemble, carry, operate. It has 4 holes in each corner, which the child can string around their neck, which they can walk to school with to charge, and also to use at night when the light is dim. And they can also string it from the ceiling so it creates more illumination as well. The bumper, which is the blue bit around the light there, it's actually been intentionally humanised with little eyes and little hands and little feet, because a lot of the communities that we work in and the children that receive these lights aren't familiar with solar technology at all. In fact, they've never encountered it. And so we've tried to humanise our lights to make them more familiar and accessible to children who aren't familiar with that technology. We've created a framework to bring people along on our journey with us. So we've created a model in which people learn about energy poverty, renewable energy, and global citizenship. They also get to make the lights. So the lights come as unassembled kits, which then we engage participants in the act of building and assembling those lights. They also get to write a little letter to their buddy, which is sent together with that light directly into the communities of the children who receive them. And we work very closely with field partners who have a particular interest in education programs to deliver those lights directly into their hands so that we can illuminate their futures. With our programs, we started in 2016 with an ACARA-aligned education program that launched here in Australia, aimed at engaging Australian students in our program. In 2018, we launched a CSR program in Oman at a global conference, and since then we have attracted worldwide attention from corporate partners all around the world. And that has also led to attracting multinationals who have partnered with us as part of quite a unique partnership which has allowed us to gift even more lights to children living in energy poverty. To date, and mind you, we started 3 years ago, we've worked in over 550 schools around the world. We've engaged over 100 corporations. We've gifted 100,000 lights directly to impacting 500,000 individuals. And we calculate our impact based on one light given to one child impacting a family of 5. The best news is that we know our lights are working. So with access to one of our lights, an impact report that we recently received from our field partners indicated that children were studying up to 78% longer, which meant that their education was improving, their results at school was improving, and they were actually able, I actually recently just got back from Tanzania, in which the teacher at one of the schools that we delivered the lights to was talking about how it made her job easier because kids were now able to read the work that she was giving them, and she was having to spend less one-on-one time walking them through what they needed to do in their daily education. It's also had a flow-on effect to the families who are spending up to, showing an 80% reduction in kerosene expenses. And then it's had the follow-on effect of improving their health and well-being because they're not breathing in those toxic fumes of kerosene. So I just wanted to, I'm going to throw to a video in a moment, which is going to give you a bit more of an outline of our work and also to show you our last mile distribution, because getting these lights actually into the hands of kids who live in some really remote pockets of the world is not an easy challenge at all. And we come across a lot of logistical issues, let alone the customs issues, actually clearing our lights through customs, trying explaining to customs officials that these are gifts given to children and that we should be exempt from from charges. Is quite a difficult one sometimes. But I want you, I'm going to throw to this video in just a moment so that you can see a little bit more about our work. This video is shot in PNG, and as you'll see, it's quite a long and bumpy road to get the lights to the kids who need them most. But I wanted to thank you very much for having me here today and for listening to me speak. And I would very much encourage you to join our community and help us to illuminate even more futures with the gift of light.
Solar Buddy is an Australian charity uniting a global community. A community committed to creating a sustainable future for our beautiful planet and all who live on it. And we're doing it with the gift of light. Energy poverty is a huge problem in many parts of the world, with 1 in 5 people having limited or no access to grid electricity. The impact is profound, and it's condemning billions to darkness, ill health, and unfulfilled futures. Education is key, but for most students living in energy poverty, studying is limited to daylight hours. Solar Buddy is taking one simple step forward by putting a solar light into the hands of children living without access to safe and reliable lighting. They're easy to use, affordable to make, and absolutely transformative for those who receive them. Manufactured in ethically sourced United Nations-approved factories, the unassembled kits travel to schools and businesses around the world, where they're assembled by students and corporate employees. It's a long and bumpy road to get the lights into the hands of the children who need them most, with last mile distribution often the make or break of any good idea. We work closely with field partners to ensure that the lights are safely delivered into some of the most inaccessible off-grid areas around the world.
So they're all waiting, let's go and hand out some lights.
It is a gift to you so you can do your homework just like the kids in Australia.
The future will be brighter. We think that the light that you just gave them will help them to produce good results. Education is very important.
Put it out in the sun like that, and the sun will hit it, and it will charge the battery up.
The Solar Buddy program is already having a major impact, with recent studies demonstrating that children are studying for longer under our solar lights, leading to better grades year on year. Plus, we're seeing significant improvements to their overall health and well-being.
There you go, well done. There you go. I'm so proud of what we started and what we're achieving. It's just a lovely thing to be a part of.
With Solar Buddy, the future is bright.